Ben Stark, ATT Palm Beach, right?
Palm Beach Gardens.
Palm Beach Garden. But you also have something called Hammer Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, so Hammer Jiu-Jitsu is like my personal.
Yeah.
Like I am the hammer.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
Hammer
that's your
Jiu-Jitsu.
nickname as a fighter.
Yeah. And like as I traveled, like I needed a thing. Hammer Jiu-Jitsu, Hammer striking systems. When I came home, settled in, I franchised out with my team, American Top Team.
Yeah.
So I run Palm Beach Gardens. But like everything's about hammers, like inside.
Yeah.
We got the Hammer Squad. Those are my guys who fight. And it just gives me a little more
That's a dope
branding
name.
variety.
Yeah.
Because we can do Hammer Jiu-Jitsu stuff, American Top Team Palm Beach Gardens stuff, etc. So it just lets me make more shirts for my guys so we get a cooler
That's
thing.
super cool.
Like this one, available now, hammerjiujitsushop.com. Sorry.
No, that's great. And you also were a professional fighter. You did your black belt jiu-jitsu, right?
Yes, sir. Third
You
degree.
did Muay Thai, third degree.
Yes,
So you
sir.
did 10 years. That's a long time as a black
Yeah,
belt. That's
buddy.
more time than people actually stay to get their black belt. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? That's crazy. So, man, when I met you, was on the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies podcast that you guys invited me on.
Yes, sir.
And, bro, you walked in through the door, a presence, with stories already in your back pocket that were great. And at the first, I was like, is this guy talking shit or whatever? Is these like fake stories? And then everybody was like collaborating on them. And I'm like, this guy has a bunch of cool shit to say. So I need to talk to this guy like one-on-one and figure
Hell
out
yeah.
kind of like what your story is. So why don't we get into that? What it was,
All right.
how'd you get into MMA and all that stuff?
So it all started as a child
Really?
in Connecticut.
Also, your last name is fucking amazing last name, dude.
Stark. There will always be a Stark in Winterfell.
I don't know what that means, but I really...
It's from the not Lord of the Rings. Fuck, Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
So like, actually, my
seen
daughter
Game
is
of
named
Thrones.
Arya Stark, who's like the main protagonist.
Yeah, the blonde, right?
Yeah, the little girl.
The little one.
Yeah, the younger sister. The
Wait,
butchy.
is this the new Game
No,
of Thrones?
I've only seen the first.
Yeah, I haven't seen
like
Okay,
Mother
okay.
of Dragons.
Yeah,
or
me
anything.
neither.
But like, she's like the main character. We were preparing for a boy. In our head, we only thought we'd have a boy, and they're like, "You got a girl," and I was like, "I have no name idea."
It's so good. Sorry, I got
I
you
was
off
like,
track.
I never in my life thought I would have a daughter. So my wife and I are fans of the show, and I was like, just as a joke, what about Arya? She's like, it's a beautiful name.
It is a nice name.
I was like, all right, let's do this.
It is
we
a really
ran
good
with
name.
it.
All right,
But,
sorry, I got you off
yeah.
guard.
How I got into MMA.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Pancrase on the preview channel, like at my grandma's house, and going like, what the hell is
You were
that?
a kid?
So Pancrase was like 90s, 92,
Yeah.
93. Like, I'm from a town that was so small, we didn't even have the preview channel. I had to go and visit
Really?
family. Yeah. My town was like 2,500 people, real small. Moved down here when I was like 12, 13.
Wow, it's a hell of a change.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
I just remember seeing on the preview channel and like, wow, Pancrase, the hell is that? I thought it was pro wrestling.
Right.
And then as a couple of years went by, I saw UFC. And I was like, what is that? And my dad was like a state champ wrestler, judoka.
Oh, shit.
I was not allowed to train.
You were?
My mother was like, you will be a lawyer, you will be a dentist, you don't need to know any of this. And my dad was just like, do what your mother says.
Oh,
I'm like,
really? Dude,
okay.
that's so wild. Your dad was like a judoka and a wrestler.
Yeah.
Wow.
And when I started wrestling in high school, he was like, don't let your mom know. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
When I started training jiu-jitsu, he was like, hey, actually, I say this, I signed up to fight very early, and my dad's like, you've never trained. If it takes you getting your ass beat for you to know this ain't for you, I'll buy a ticket. And then we got there, and he fucking cornered me, and he was so hype.
That sounds
It was
awesome.
nuts. But I saw UFC,
Yeah.
and I go, Dad, I bring him like, I'm going to do this. And he goes, why? You've never trained ever.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
So that was before you started wrestling then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do this before I moved to Florida. So
oh,
like,
shit. So, okay.
it's like 92, 93-ish.
Yeah.
And he was like, no way. And then I remember he ordered it, and I sat in the hallway and watched through a crack in the door. And he had to know I was
Of course,
there.
yeah.
Just like, you know?
Heavy breathing.
And I remember seeing it and just being like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
This is the coolest thing ever. But my mom, it was absolutely, like I wrestled in high school
Yeah.
because I was like, I have straight A's. You can't stop me. And she was like, get a B+. See what happens. And I was like, okay.
That's crazy. So you saw the UFC, like you saw the 1993 is when it started?
I probably saw UFC 1 being
Right.
used to advertise UFC 2. Is
Dude.
most likely.
And that, like, to say that you want to do that, because it's
The
different now.
second
right?
I saw it, I was like, I don't know, that. I'm going to do that.
Dude, that's
Immediately.
wild.
Yeah, and I'd never trained. I wrestled a semester or a season or two in high school.
Yeah.
And then, had cool friends and girls and
Yeah,
partied and stuff. And it wasn't until my freshman year of college, maybe my second semester, randomly, like this is pre-Facebook. You know, like someone shared a Sherdog highlight video of Mark Coleman. And I was just like, it's still around. This is a thing. It's alive. Who's this guy?
Right.
And it had a Sherdog watermark. And I go, what the fuck is Sherdog? So I search Sherdog and I find the forums. And I'm like, my people. Oh, it was a problem.
Yeah.
It was like, I was on that shit so much. Dude, Gary Goodridge's wife read my first ever fight offer contract.
Yeah.
Just on a, hey man, I met a dude who said he's putting on fights. I've trained for 3 months in the college judo club and the local PAL boxing club. I think this is how you get into it.
Dude,
Let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
And Gary was like, hey man, send me whatever they sent you. My wife's a lawyer. Granted, it's Canada, but sports law is pretty similar. My wife will give it a look for you. And he hooked me the fuck up. His wife read it. She's like, this is a dog shit contract.
What was the contract? Like,
it was basically, we'll give you tickets. You can keep $5 of each ticket. There's $500 on the line. Whoever wins gets the $500.
Dude, that's wild.
Yeah. It was such a setup. Like the dude I fought, he's actually a boxing coach now.
Oh yeah.
He probably outweighed me by like 50. I was like 275. Keep in mind, I start training, I'm 320 pounds.
Jeez, dude.
I'm losing weight. I'm getting fit. I'm like doing it through literally the FAU Judo Club and the Boca PAL. Just like, this is where I work out. Because no one knew what Top Team was. I didn't know. It was 2001.
Were they open? Was it Top Team open?
Top Team started in 2001.
Yeah,
I joined in that 2001, 2002 kind of range. Before then, it was Silveira Brothers Jiu-Jitsu. It was Marcelo and Conan.
Dude, I always thought that American Top Team came from Brazilian Top Team.
So it did, and it didn't.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of different stories I've heard about how Dan came to ATT, but whatever. When Dan came to the group, Silveira Brothers, they were like, so the Silveira Brothers all came from Carlson.
Yeah.
You know? And they got with Dan and they're like, dude, let's do this.
Yeah.
And they reached out to Laborio and they go, hey, you want to come to America? And I think he had just left running the Bank of Brazil.
Oh, shit.
And he was like, yeah, dude, I want to come to America. So they brought him up and they, I guess they milled around names, ideas. And it's like, well, everyone came from Carlson. Carlson turned into Brazilian Top Team.
Okay.
I think they were at Brazilian Top Team. They come up earlier, years before.
Yeah.
And let's just do America. Let's make the American version.
Yeah.
Because at the time, BTT was the team.
Yeah.
They were winning everything. It was them and Shootbox, really.
Yeah.
And then they, American Top Team. So BTT and ATT are kind of brothers.
Yeah.
Not affiliated with Phuket Top Team. They just stole the name. Tulsa Top Team, Texas Top Team, Great Britain Top Team, legit. He's an ATT. Brad Pickett, you're the fucking best.
Brad Pickett, dude.
Yeah, he runs Great Britain Top Team, but so then he became Top Team, and Noguera would come up. A bunch of the guys, they would switch back and forth because it was all kind of home team.
Yeah.
So it was just brotherly.
That's pretty cool. Let's get back to what you were saying.
Sorry,
my ADD just fucking took over.
I didn't even smoke before I got here.
So we were talking about how your contract was. It was $5 ticket. It was $500 line. You were 320 when you started.
Yeah. And
you were only in 3 months of training boxing and wrestling.
Yeah, I was probably around 275 at that point.
Okay.
The guy I had a match with, Gary, I forgot his name, Clark.
Okay.
They call him White Boog now as
White
a boxing
Boog?
White Boog, Boog. He became like a Palm Beach state trooper or a Palm Beach sheriff.
Yeah.
And then I guess got into boxing. I don't know if he splits time or he's like, boxing's where it's at. And then whatever. I haven't seen him in quite a while, but that was last I remember.
Yeah.
He was bigger than me. So I remember talking to the promoter going, I don't have a corner. Like, I don't have a team. I'm just doing this so I can hopefully meet a team in my area, and then I can go.
Holy shit!
To their that was literally my. So
you were
thought
training
process.
by yourself. Like, you didn't have like because back then I think MMA wasn't really like compounded like it is today. You know what I mean? You had to train boxing, you had to train boxing in different spots.
I hate to break this to you. Outside of South Florida and maybe New York and a couple spots in California, it's still like that.
Really?
There are very, very few legitimate top to bottom MMA gyms. Most gyms are like, we do jiu-jitsu, we send our fighters to them for Muay Thai and those guys for wrestling. Like, if you leave South Florida, that becomes way more common.
Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense because the sport has just grown so much. And maybe it's because I'm in this bubble of South Florida that I think that there's a bunch of MMA gyms everywhere that it's like.
I mean, I would think now is when they're starting to become more common. Because you got to think, like, I'm 42.
Mhm.
I'll be 43 in a couple months. I've been doing this now since 2001.
Yeah,
So 24 years going on.
yeah,
And I've been running my gym for 10 years. So you got to figure probably within the last 10 years, there have been gyms where like, oh, the coach is good at Muay Thai,
That's a
good
good
at
point.
boxing, good at wrestling, good at jiu-jitsu.
that makes sense. Yeah, because like the people that really started to incorporate, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not an expert, obviously in MMA, but the people that really started to mix things together was like your era. Like
Mhm.
that was when they really started
Yeah.
to train everything and put it all into like one mix. And so
Yeah.
this is MMA.
And there's still a lot of leadership that's older than me. And
Yeah.
they're still running things. And a lot of them produced guys. And you would hope that in your late 40s and 50s, your ego has been satiated enough that you're like, oh, we can hire a guy. We can
Yeah.
do things in-house.
yeah,
But I know with like some of the younger guys, the 30s or late 20s, I know best. Who the fuck are you?
yeah,
Don't listen to your kickboxing coach. Listen to your boxing coach. Don't listen to your wrestling coach. Listen to your jiu-jitsu. Because there's ego. Fighters
Right.
all have ego. I mean,
Yeah.
people all have ego.
yeah.
So I think that might be why things stay kind of separate.
That makes sense.
But
yeah.
if you can get a unit that works together and is like on board, you can do awesome things.
Yeah, bro.
Because otherwise, you're just like stretched way thin.
It's got to be tough to get like people with like you said that are willing to work in a team, especially because I can assume that being a fighter, right? Obviously I'm not a fighter, but like being a fighter, you have to have a certain level of self belief and ego mixed into this game. That
You've got to be downright selfish.
Yeah,
Like, fighting is a team sport, but an independent competition. Because you cannot get ready for the fight alone. You need training partners.
right.
But when it's time to compete, you're the fuck alone.
Yeah,
Short of a voice on the outside.
yeah.
You know, so you have to be selfish. You have to be. You have to get your rep. You have to be that guy. And not everyone is. But not everyone is a champion.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, there's all sorts of dudes. Like, I think in the scheme of things, like, I only had about 10 fights.
Okay.
If I had had 40 fights, I probably would have been considered a journeyman, like a good B-plus fighter.
Okay.
I started in my 20s. I was not a physical specimen, but I got a good brain.
Yeah.
You know, I found out, I started coaching in Blue Belt. I found it real early on. Fight enough that you can build your reputation up and coach.
That's a good.
I
game
was
plan.
just so much better at coaching,
Yeah.
you know?
Well,
So,
I mean, but you're also in that era that you could coach earlier
Mhm.
because there wasn't. I mean, I'm assuming there wasn't a lot of black belts when you were a blue belt around, right? In that time frame.
I mean, to the extent that I lived at FAU, which is like Glades in 95.
Yeah.
American Top Team headquarters was 2 miles away from me.
Mm.
I didn't even know. I went to an affiliate school 25, 30 minutes south for like a year. And luckily, the coach at that gym introduced me to the brass at ATT. He was one of the fighters. He had a satellite school.
Okay.
And I was like, wait a minute. I can spit and hit my parking lot for home. Like, why am I driving to Margate? What is going on? And luckily, the guys took a liking to me. Lebo took a liking to me.
Yeah.
Marcelo eventually took a liking to me. And they invited me in. So I was like, sweet.
Dude, so how was that? How did it feel to fight that first fight?
So I
Go on.
got super duper lucky.
Yeah.
At the time, MMA was still kind of illegal. So we get to the venue, and the promoter's out there, and he goes, listen. So my assumption is he didn't tell the commission. I think he was trying to run that shit underground.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's my only assumption.
it was here in Florida.
Yeah.
For sure, they're trying to.
100%. It was when I lived in Broward and had never been to West Palm yet, outside, like north of Boca. Like,
Yeah.
So I remember driving to like a National Guard armory somewhere in Palm Beach, and the promoter comes out and he's in the ring and he's doing the pre-fight like meeting. I don't even know there's supposed to be one like at this point. So like now I know, hey, the commissioner comes out and he runs the meeting, and bro, This man goes, hey, so the commission called me and they were like, yo, no MMA fights are going to be allowed. And I'm like, well, what the fuck am I going to do? And he goes, so here's the deal. And he names basically 2 guys. He had this one dude, which was like his guy.
Yeah.
Probably the whole reason the show was happening was for him to push this guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to fight person X. Everyone else, you will either box or grapple or kickbox or whatever. And I'm assuming it has to be amateur because there were no pads. There was just the gloves. But then again, 2001.
Right. Like, what is amateur that time?
And I remember he's like, you want to grapple, you want to strike? And I was like, grapple?
Yeah.
You know? And he's like, all right. And thank God. Because like I met this dude and he was towering above me.
Yeah.
He was way bigger than me. And when I remember telling the promoter, I was like, hey, I don't have a corner. Like I've never done this before. He goes, I'll get you a guy, don't worry. My corner was my opponent's coach.
What the fuck, dude?
Yeah. So I remember dude walked out to compete with me alone. And in the movies, everyone walks out alone. She's like, this guy's hard as fuck, man. And I'm like, okay, cool. My dad's in my corner too.
Yeah.
Just a chubby baker with like 30 years ago memory of being a state champ in wrestling.
Yeah.
Like doesn't have a corner towel, has a beach towel, I remember, dude, like, and they had us do 3 5-minute rounds, just like it was a fight, but only grappling.
Only grappling.
I remember at one time he belly to back suplexed me, and I just remember going fuzz, like TV static, and then getting cross-faced and coming back to clear. I mean, I remember he was just in side control, and my dad's going, "You can tap. It's okay. You can. It's fine." And I was like, and I remember going, "No." Never. And because it just wasn't working. I'm like in here and he's trying to Americana me. Luckily he was primarily a wrestler, not a submission guy.
Yeah.
He probably would have tapped me very early. I had 3 months experience.
Right.
And it had to be in like the 2nd or the 3rd round. Like I actually got on top and I was like, oh. And I got super excited. I remember going for an Americana, but like way overdoing it. And it just like rolled me over and I was like, well, that was that. And then the bell rang, and I was like, I'm so glad that's over. Oh, fucking mind you, I booked this fight, and like my college fraternity announces our initiation is the same night. And I'm the pledge master.
You were a frat.
My fraternity went to the event. No, I'm the pledge master. I'm the scary guy.
Oh, yeah? The enforcer.
Yeah. Oh, wait. No. I was not the pledge master on this one. That was years later. Yeah. But I'm going.
Right.
So everyone like goes to the fight. It is not awesome. It was generally kind of bad. And then we trek into like the Vero area, like a buddy's family home, big backyard. Like we're doing the... Dude, I'm not even participating. I have a picture on my phone I will show you. I am unconscious in a lazy boy with an ice pack on my face, my chest, the back of my head, and someone thought it'd be hilarious to take the fat sleeping ice pack guy and put like king-size bags of chips in my lap. And I was like, I missed the entire thing.
Yeah.
I was done.
Yeah, you're fucking exhausted, bro.
Bro. No. Yeah, horrible. It was so crazy. Yeah, that shit was wild.
So you did that, and it was a grappling match, and then, but I'm assuming that after that you were like, I want to keep doing this. I kind of want to, like, what was your thought process?
So after that, I was like, oh, I should definitely train more.
Yeah.
It never popped in my head like you're fucked. Like I should train more, and it was really by chance that I found anything jiu-jitsu. Because I'm at the FAU Judo Club, and this kid walks in. And I know immediately he's Brazilian. I've never met a Brazilian.
Yeah.
But I know.
You know.
He had that, dun, 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 the thing.
Yeah.
And he was wearing a blue belt. And I'm like, I don't remember there being a blue belt in judo.
Yeah.
And then he flying triangled the instructor.
You just went to show off, bro.
I guess.
Yeah.
And I rolled up on him and I was like, hey. Because the judo guys always gave me shit. I'm like, 1, I don't own a gi. 2, I don't have money to buy a gi.
Yeah.
3, I want to fight MMA.
Right.
Like, and they're like, oh, fine, we'll teach you some stuff. You're a body, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, the club was like 7 people.
Yeah.
So this kid comes in, flying triangles the guy, and I like scoot over on a water break and I go, hey, where do you train jujitsu at? And he goes, why do you think I train jujitsu? I don't train jujitsu.
You fucking flying triangle.
And I go, bro, you're wearing a blue belt and you flying triangle the guy. And he goes, give me your phone number. I'll call you tomorrow. I was like, all right.
Dude, what is this like back alley deal?
Dude, I gave him the phone number and my phone number. He called me and he goes, I live over here. Come to my house. I'll take you. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
I go to his house, which was like, why are we going to Miramar, dude? We were on like Powerline and Palmetto. We're in like North Boca.
Okay.
Why you? Come on, whatever.
Yeah.
And he takes me down. And he goes, this white boy found out I did jujitsu, so he wanted to train. Like, okay.
What is that? Was that his house?
No, he took me to a gym in Margate.
Okay.
This guy's name is Edson Deniz.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, this white boy wants to do jujitsu. And he goes, great. It's $100. I'm like, I got 80. And he goes, it's $80. and he's like, you'll just pay me the difference later on.
Right.
And I was like,
sure.
what do you? Poor ass white boy. Like that was the introduction.
Yeah. Sure.
It's gonna be 80, and that's a stretch.
Yeah. You know, play out my pockets.
Yeah. I remember I got my green belt in like 3 months.
Green belt. That's the one that's.
It's the placer between white and blue.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it's kind of early. I mean, I'm athletically gifted, especially for my size. My mom had to be in gymnastics as a little kid.
Oh shit!
So like, I'm like 300 something pounds doing perfect cartwheels.
Yeah, you're athletic.
Doing rolls, and he's like, what the fuck is this? Either way, I remember around blue belt, he was like complaining about being broke.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what do you want from me? I'm a child, you know. And the next week he goes, Ben, you're gonna get your blue belt, and I'm like, 6 months?
Yeah.
Now, did I win a bunch of tournaments, taking silvers, bronze? Yeah, I did all that.
Yeah.
There were also only like 10 guys in the room, but I'd say upper 50%.
Right.
So I was like, hype, you know, stoked.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's $100. And I was like, I'm not going to pay you that.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Right.
And he goes, you can owe it to me. Like, look at me. I will never pay you this money. Because I was very blatant. I was like, my only interest is in fighting.
Yeah.
I do not care about this belt.
Yeah, you're honest from the start.
Yeah, it is very, very blatant. I would love to be the most terrifying white belt ever.
Yeah, dude, 100%.
You know, I was like, I can barely pay you the $80 a month.
Yeah.
Let alone this. It's not going to happen.
He didn't give a shit about the belts. He just wanted to be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was like, all right, you'll get it to me later. Don't worry. And I was like, I'm definitely not.
I'm not getting it to you.
I would need to stop training and get a job to then get it to you. So I don't know.
The math isn't mathing, bro.
Yeah, it's not adding up.
Yeah.
And so don't worry. It's like, and that's around the time he introduced me, like, hey, come to a pro open mat at headquarters.
Pro open mat. What does that mean?
Basically, so he fought for American Top Team. Now, this is when American Top Team was inside Boca Black Belt Academy.
Okay.
Which as a whole,
really early on, huh?
It is the early on.
Yeah.
Like, this is probably when they were like, we are now American Top Team.
Okay.
Like, I probably missed Silvera Brothers by like 6 or 8 months.
Okay.
You know, I might have been at the time, I was probably the 10th or 11th guy in the room.
Oof.
I was like the 4th American, maybe the 5th.
Oof.
And like, yeah, that was where it was. I remember my first day.
That pro open mat.
Pro open mat.
Yeah.
I
guess it's only like the.
It was Laborio, Jeff Munson, Wade Rome, Hermes Franca, Dean Thomas, probably Wilson Govea, Emir Boussard.
Jesus, bro, that room.
Bro, fucking terrifying.
Yeah, bro.
And I'm like, I'm a blue belt. So I go in, and I'm just getting mollywopped.
Yeah, man.
I'm just getting absolutely decimated. And Lebo comes over and he goes, hey, would you roll with me? And I'm like, I'm going to fucking kill this old guy. Who's this old guy? I didn't know who he was. Like, this is my introduction.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he's an old dude. He goes, I'm only going to tap your left arm. And he must have tapped me like 17 times.
He said he's only going to attack your left arm?
Yeah. Yeah, like, okay, cool. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, what the fuck is this place? And Dean Thomas sits next to me and he goes, man, he must like you. And I go, and he goes, he doesn't roll with anybody.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And he goes, he's the coach. He's the guy. He's the coach.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool.
Dude, you're just stumbling into these great places.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so he's like, what's the deal? What do you want to do? I'm like, I want to fight. I want to fight. I want to fight. I want to fight.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, we have boxing on Monday. Come back to Monday. And I'm like, great. And he gives me his hand wraps. And I'm like, cool.
That's awesome.
And I show up on Monday and he's not there. Marcelo's there.
Mm.
And I come in and some of the guys knew me from the Saturday before. Now, granted, this might not be the same. Like, you know, it's 20 years ago. It's quite the same time-ish. I think it's the Monday after because I'm gung-ho as fuck.
Yeah, you're hyped.
And I come in, Marcelo's like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm Ben. He's like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, Lebo said I could come and box. And he goes, no, he didn't. And I'm like,
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I was there. I met them. He goes, don't talk to them. Talk to me. And I'm like,
how did you feel in that moment when he's like that? Like,
like my head was just like, well, I mean, I came all the way here.
Yeah.
Unless he's like, get the fuck out,
you know,
I'll just sit and watch.
Oh, okay.
You know? So he's like, you're not training. And I go, okay. And like, Boca Black Belt is not the biggest gym. It was maybe 750, 1,000 square feet. And it's mostly men.
Yeah.
And it has like PVC guardrails and like benches that are raised up so that you actually have room for your legs. And I was like sitting on one of those benches. And after a couple minutes, he's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, well, I mean, you didn't tell me to leave. You just said I couldn't train.
Yeah.
And he's like, and I'm like, well, I mean, what do you want me to do? And he looks around and like one guy was odd man out and he goes, you have gloves? And I was like, I'll figure it out. Like, I don't know. Oh, dude, I said, before I sat inside, I was like, look, Lebo gave me his hand wraps. And he's like,
that's your evidence.
Yeah. I was like, really? He goes, so you stole them from Laborio? And I was like, no, he literally gave them to, like, I'm like, I'm going to get fucking jumped.
Was he
like,
hazing you think?
I don't know.
Oh,
Marcelo was a really intense guy.
Yeah.
And if he didn't know you, he was more intense because why the fuck are you here?
Yeah.
So I kind of get it. But he was also like really kind-hearted once he got to know you.
Right.
You had to be like in the room a lot and hanging out with him often. Because even his nice wasn't that nice. It was like secret nice.
Yeah.
Like as a side example, I was a broke-ass college kid.
Yeah.
Like my soles were coming off my shoes, but he gave me a job at the front desk.
Awesome.
And one day I came in and there's just shoe boxes on the desk. But we got packages all the time for the fighter. So I'm like, hey, whose mailbox do these need to go into? That's kind of part of my job.
Right.
And my manager goes, those are yours.
Oh, that's super
And I'm
fucking
like,
nice, dude.
What do you mean? And he goes, they arrived. They're for you. And I'm like, dude, what is going on? And after a couple of days, he's like, Marcelo bought you shoes. He saw your shoes were fucked up. He bought your shoes. He's like, that kid works for me. It can't look like he's not getting paid.
Yeah.
Because the money was going to food.
Right.
So he
That's
bought me a bunch
nice,
of
dude.
shoes. So I'm like, oh. And he's like, don't talk to him about it. Don't tell him about it. Don't bring it up to him. You don't know.
Yeah.
Period. Someone just gifted your ass some shoes. I'm like, okay.
Nice,
but that's not how the fuck I was raised.
Right.
So after a day or two of biting my tongue, hey man, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You absolutely did not have to. You could have told me, I would have figured it out. And he goes, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And walked away. I was like, okay, cool. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's your welcome.
He's like, as the years went on, we actually talked about it once. He was like, you're my guy. You're here every day. You're my guy. You bust your ass. You're broke. We're all broke. We've been broke. I've been broke.
Yeah.
I'm in a position I can buy you some fucking shoes. I bought you some shoes.
That's super fucking nice.
Cool.
I prefer that type of nice too. That like that
Yeah,
nice is
like,
and they're not doing it for.
Say thank you.
Yeah.
Say thank you now.
Yeah, like that doesn't. I prefer that nice. Don't even tell them. Just let them know. Like.
Yeah, I like to do that.
Yeah.
You know, depending on the size of the group. Like when my guys fight and we go out to dinner, I pay for dinner.
Okay.
Your group. You just fought your ass off.
Yeah.
Representing my team or our team.
Right.
Representing my name as a coach, your name as a fighter, and how we work together. Like, I can buy you a burger, dog.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool.
That's a good type of nice, especially with fighting at that age. We'll get back to the story, but just like to finish on this thought is like, especially with fighting at the early ages of fighting where there's no money and to make money off fighting, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It takes you to get to like the highest fucking level.
I fought for the UFC and they gave me $500. Yeah.
So like that type of thing is like they need that, and it's morality for the morale is great.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and it really endeared me to him. That's when I started to like know him a little more.
Yeah.
Like still to this day, very friendly. I hit him. I haven't seen him in a decade.
Yeah.
You know, but randomly, Stark, how's everything? Like online, a message here, a message there.
Yeah.
Come to Boca. I would love to, but you run a gym, I run a gym. The hours just don't
work.
But I'd love to, you know, kind of thing. Anytime I'm in town, I'm like, hey, are you at the gym? I'm 5 blocks away. I'll swing by. You know,
that's
kind
a
of
great
stuff. Yeah.
So let's get back to what you were saying about the.
So he basically is like, you can go and be that guy's partner. You're not allowed to get reps. You don't get a turn.
Oh, so you were just like an Uki.
Yeah, you are that guy's part. After like 2 rounds, the guy's like, do you want to get some reps? I was like, I would fucking love to. And he's like, yeah, get some reps. I'll look out for Marcelo. If he's coming, we'll switch. And I'm like, okay. And that was my in. And
that's such a crazy, like, it's such a back alley story this guy brought you to. It wasn't ATT at the time, but it was becoming ATT. It was like, he just went in to fuck with the judo guy. Like, he dojo stormed the fucking judo guy. And you fuck that guy up, you get there, you roll with Laborio, which is a legend in the game. And then you get like this opportunity to train boxing with Marcelo.
Yeah.
And
Marcelo and Lebo were the head coaches.
Okay.
Conan still had a gym in Miami, South Beach, I believe, and he would come up every so often.
Yeah.
But Lebo and Marcelo were like the guys.
Yeah.
Our boxing coach Howard Davis was already with the team, if I remember.
Davis, didn't he fight in the UFC?
No, Howard Davis was 1976 Olympic gold medalist in boxing.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Daya Davis, DP's boxing coach, that's his dad.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Damn. So you had this. So that was your boxing coach as well. Like,
Howard Davis was my first boxing coach. Yeah. Or from ATT.
Bro, what a fucking, like, I guess the word is lineage that you got, man. Like, that's really good training. And then did they know how to incorporate, like, did Howard Davis know how to incorporate the boxing for the MMA?
Not so much.
No? Not
so much. Like, he was focused on teaching grapplers to keep their hands up, move their head, and move their feet.
Oh.
Like, I don't think I threw more than like a jab, cross, hook, cross.
Yeah.
For quite a while. He was like, you guys are grapplers. You need to learn how to strike.
Yeah.
And he would stand. And he would have a stand like super still, flat, square. Because so many of these guys couldn't be bladed and tick-tock.
Yeah.
So he's like, you gotta literally keep your hands up and go tick-tock, tick-tock. And then he'd sit there and like basically try to pat you on the head.
Yeah.
Like that's the level of boxing we were doing at the time.
Damn, how do you incorporate that onto your
So we would have Howard, I can't even remember how many days a week in the morning.
Okay.
We would have Marcelo and Lebo however many days in the morning. We sparred twice a week. I didn't get to spar with them until we were in the bigger gym.
Okay.
I was still going to Edson as my primary.
Had a gym that was running parallel to that?
So Boca Black Belt Academy was headquarters.
Yeah.
And then when that was the main gym, you had like Edson had a gym in Margate.
Okay.
Conan had a gym in South Beach. It was just the guys were trying to get by, make some money teaching. Like Edson's gym wasn't his gym. Chilean Olympic judoka, bronze medalist, had a gym, and Edson was like, "Can I rent your room 3 nights a week for an hour?"
Does that guy have like sons that do judo? The Chilean
Honestly, I haven't talked to the Chilean guy since like 05.
Okay.
Like if before that.
Yeah.
He ran the hardest. He was a bronze medalist in judo for Chile in the Olympics. That's all I remember about him. And he ran the hardest practices I've ever done in my life.
Dude, those are tough. Judo are tough practices, bro.
It was all these like Chilean, Peruvian kids. And like their dad's coming in off the work truck still and just watching their kids boom people through the fucking floor. It was the first time I ever saw a judo box. Like, I guess you'd say Chilean style. They basically take a bunch of worn out tires, put 2x4s across them, then put plywood on top of them and box it in.
Okay.
You could fucking pro wrestling powerbomb a guy and it'll go whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
Whoop. Dude, these kids were putting people through the floor.
Wait, were they doing like the randori on that?
Like just their drills.
Just drilling.
Smash everything.
So there was like no mat on top of that shit?
No, it was the mat goes on top of the plywood on top of
just to get the shock.
It's basically a springboard.
Yeah.
amazing. I wish I had one. They're awesome.
Yeah.
When I get to the point where I can buy a building, which hopefully will be in the next few years, I want it. I want it
You're
so
gonna make
bad.
it like that.
Yeah, and I want it. So like nowadays, you'll see these mat companies like our new spring undercarriage system.
Yeah.
Place, screw you, bro. Go get some used tires, 2x4s, and set that shit up.
I think a lot of people are trying to set their gyms up that way too. Like you'll see it with like it's kind of.
I feel like it definitely helps prevent injury because
Yeah,
you have
for
all
sure.
that cushion.
Yeah. That's
Some people are like, hey, it's kind of springy in here. Yeah. Wait till you get double legged over the head and put through the floor, and you're like, oh, this is fucking great.
Yeah, dude. When you have those mats, the tatami mats, those the square ones, and it's on right on the floor, you can definitely feel the difference from getting thrown on that to somebody that's set up kind of like that, like a spring system to it. There's definitely a huge difference.
Definitely.
Dude. You get thrown with it, a good judo guy throws you on your head, bro. You're gonna feel that for a couple days. You get a headache. It's gonna suck.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back. So you were
Okay.
training there, and then you told them you wanted to fight,
Yep.
right? And then how did we get to you getting into your new fights and getting into the MMA?
I had a bit of a falling out with my first coach.
Okay.
And at the time, the first big gym was open. It was one on Johnson Road, one of like 10,000 square feet. It was actually a holdover while they were building the one that Dan had actually set up.
The one in Pembroke Pines?
Coconut Creek.
Coconut Creek, sorry, yes.
So like, literally, headquarters one was here, go down a driveway. That was the one we were waiting for.
Okay.
So it was just, they were like, hey, we built this. It's ready. Yours is going to be another X. Is this a good holdover for you?
Yeah.
And he was like, it will make it work.
So that's when they really put in money into the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's when what happened. So Marcel Ferreira had taken over jiu-jitsu coaching at Boca Black Belt, which was, again, 2 miles from where I lived.
Right.
So when I had my falling out with Edson, I go, hey, Marcelo, like, do you mind if I come train with you? And he's like, I'd love it. Come through. So I go to Marcel. I'm not even there a week. I get a call from Laborio, and he goes, you got a falling out with Edson? I go, yeah. And he goes, I don't want to hear about it. You train with me now. Be at headquarters on Monday. Nice. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And I go, Marcel, and he goes, he already called me. I was like, all right. Cool. So then I went to headquarters, and that was my home base.
And how was those initial days at the headquarters gym? Because that's when I'm assuming, based on they went from like this small gym to this 10,000 square feet gym. They invested money in there.
Mm-hmm.
Money was coming in. They were trying to build the fighter camps that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how was those first days in there?
They were awesome. Firstly, you walk in, you're like, oh my God, 45-foot ceilings.
Yeah, bro.
10,000 square feet. Like, our mat had to be 5,000 square feet.
Whoa.
It had to be.
Yeah.
It was at least a third of the building.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just that mat.
Right.
We had entrance space, some office cubicles. Over here was locker rooms. I think we had like a 30-foot boxing ring.
Jeez.
This is like back before everyone fought in cages. The fights were still in rings.
Really?
Yeah. So we had a boxing ring in the back and then a bunch of open space for like shadow boxing, mitts. And they had a couple T stands for heavy bags.
Okay.
Very wide open. There was I don't remember if there was a weight area at first, but there's, cardio equipment.
Yeah.
You know,
Stuff
for
like cut
cutting
weight, mate.
Yeah. Hey, put your sweats on.
Yeah.
Get on the Airdyne.
So like, was the culture back? Because the culture in MMA back, at least the stories that you hear, right, with all these fighters coming up in those days, like you hear about, like it was like a really tough culture. Is that what you experienced?
Yeah.
Like it's changed a little bit, right?
It has to. It had to.
Oh, okay.
Back in the days, it was just CTE, guaranteed, top to bottom.
Yeah.
No question. I remember the first time I ever really thought about it, I was sparring with a guy, and he kicked me in the nuts on accident. And I grabbed my balls, and I sat on the rope, and he didn't stop. He's fucking racked my shit.
Christ.
Rang my bell bad. I slip out, and I'm like, fuck, dude, what are you doing? And they're like, he didn't kick you in the nuts. I'm like, do you think I grabbed my balls and let him clean my fucking clock for fun?
Yeah.
No, it's insane.
Right.
And the guy who hit me was like, I'm so sorry. Nicest guy in the world. He goes by Buffalo. Petrus Melu.
Oh,
Great guy.
Russian.
He's based in Florida. I don't totally remember where. The nicest human being.
Yeah.
Not built for fighting. Way too polite. Way too nice. Way too kind. Threw the fuck down. But I think similar to me, like once he got a little rep and he was like, all right, I can open up a gym and not hurt people anymore. He was just the nicest dude. But I remember that was the first time I had like the stutters.
Yeah.
Like after getting hit, and I was like,
that's gonna be a scary fucking
oh,
feeling.
this is real shit.
Yeah.
You know? But there was crazy, like, dude, the stories you heard about like fighting in the 2000s,
right?
training room, Very accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like it was normal that it would be like a fight.
Yeah, well, part of it, one, the guys weren't trained as strikers, so being like the finesse didn't exist.
Right, that makes sense.
It was hard jabs and haymakers, overhands, big looping, dude. Hitting with the back of your hand, hitting with your thumb, just throwing your shit out there, and a lot of the guys didn't focus heavily on striking because jiu-jitsu was so powerful at the time. Like, oh no, did you take me down, guy from Wisconsin? Submission.
Right.
Oh, did I take you down, striker from Boston? Submission.
Right.
We didn't have to be good strikers. We just had to be good enough strikers to get a takedown.
So do you think, because I always thought that in that era of MMA that what was really dominating was like the ground and pound when it came to ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
The grappling. I thought that what was dominating that era was, because we had the jiu-jitsu like in the 90s that was coming up, and the jiu-jitsu guys were just taking everybody out, right? But then the wrestlers came in and they got good at ground and pound, and then the guard was just like obsolete in terms of MMA fighting in that time.
It depended on where you were.
Okay.
In South Florida, jiu-jitsu was king.
Okay.
Wrestling took over Florida probably around that Stephen Bonner, Forrest Griffin time.
Right.
Because at that point, people had already had 10 years of getting subbed.
Right.
And then they go, hey, man, if you just train a little jiu-jitsu, you cannot get subbed.
That's true.
It is so much harder to submit a guy than it is to defend the submission.
It's so much harder to submit a guy than it is. That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, because you can defend just by having good posture and tight elbows.
True, right.
Because you just don't give the opportunity. You're not going to be entertaining.
Yeah.
But you're going to super hard
do much either if you're just like defending that submission.
Like it's how I derive the style of ground and pound that I teach. It focuses on keeping limbs inside the torso, not exiting hip range, not exiting torso range, keeping things linear and tight. If I do not open my elbow, the knee does not come in.
Right.
So I strike from in here, either by making posture, by leaning my body, so that my strikes still stay within this area, as opposed to here. In most of my wins, it came from a guy throwing a hook in my guard, and I'd submit him every time. Don't open up wide, the knee comes through.
Right, just don't give him the pocket to start opening up their guard.
If you're just going, we can stay here, I'm on top, I'll win. Judges don't know shit. You're right.
That's true.
You will.
Yeah. So there was that wrestling, like, I mean, especially if they were coming, the boys that came out of Iowa, I forget the name of the gym. Militich. They were especially like those type of fighters that were ground and pound heavy. They had a little bit of jiu-jitsu, like you said.
In that time, I would say they were probably one of the more complete teams. You had like Spencer Fisher, fantastic striking, really good submissions, really strong wrestling. Obviously, Pat Militich, a fucking legend.
Yeah.
Robbie Lawler, striker, anti-wrestler.
Yeah.
Tim Sylvia, striker, anti-wrestler. That was their thing, sprawl and brawl.
Right, that's
sprawl
true.
And brawl. But they had ability. Remember, Pat Militich never had a coach. He learned from VHS tapes.
Which is wild.
And built up what would eventually become one of the strongest MMA legacies of an era. Also, way too hard of a training room. All of those guys, all of them are having horrible brain issues right now.
Yeah, that's like where you really hear the horror stories of I mean, they might disagree because they had so many great like champions, but like that type of gym, that type of training was...
They really cashed their checks before they had the money to do so,
Dude, but like, there's got to be an element of that has to do with like the mental toughness you have to have as a fighter. Those hard training sessions. Like, is there a way that you can gain that mental toughness that I'm assuming that they got from that hard training without getting your ass beat like that?
Yeah, don't spar that often, that hard. So, hard sparring has a place. And it's in camp, specifically.
Okay.
You will have hard sparrings in the beginning when you are learning that you need to be a fighter.
Yeah.
But everything's going to be hard because you're not a fighter.
Right.
Like when my guys are out of camp, it's technical to like stiff. Stiff sparring is like, when I pop you, you know it.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't have any headache or ringing in your head from it. You're just like, all right, I got.
Yeah.
Hard sparring is when you're like, okay, I got fucking clipped.
Yeah.
And for me at least, out of camp, no hard sparring. Occasionally you'll get a guy who's like, dude, I've been out for a year. And they'll have a couple hard goes and like, all right, I'm back.
Yeah.
But once you're in a rhythm, unneeded, personal opinion, then you get in camp and you're like, cool. Now you have hard sparring
Mm,
on Wednesday.
okay.
That's it. And even then, I typically do 2 times a month hard, no more than 4.
Okay.
Right? And if you get a concussion and your fight's over.
Yeah.
There is no camp. Camp is done. You have a concussion. What are we going to do? Go and compete on the hopes that the guy doesn't jab you hard and you don't melt?
Right.
No, you have a concussion, bro. Fight's over.
Yeah.
It sucks. But all you're going to do is make it worse.
Right.
Because in the next 3 weeks, you're going to be hitting pads, which shakes your body. You're going to run, which shakes your body. You're going to hit the bag, which shakes your body. You're going to get taken down and do takedowns, which shake your body. Then you're going to spar. Guess what? Your concussion gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And then if you fight, you're probably going to get knocked out a little easier if you get hit.
Right.
And 2, your brain has just compiled concussive trauma. Because at the end of the day, a concussion is a bruise on your brain.
Okay.
Is the easiest explanation I can think of. If you keep poking the bruise, it fucking grows.
Right.
So as much as it sucks and as much as you're like, dude, the next day you're like, oh, I'm good. I don't have a headache. Sorry, bro.
Yeah, take it easy.
You are on, you can static lift and you can go for a walk with your dog for the next 3 weeks kind of thing. Talk to me then.
Yeah.
You know, if you have any light sensitivity, you got another month. Sorry.
I mean, that's the only way to take care of your fighters at the same time.
Otherwise, you're going to have a bunch of mushmouth motherfuckers in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And my number one goal, other than being a successful businessman, is that my fighters, my competitors, my students, that when they come to a time when they are done with their career, that they can go and live a healthy, happy life.
Which is so fucking important, dude, because if you really think about fighting and MMA, like, that's a young man's game, dude.
Yeah.
That's not even most of their life. You know what I mean?
I think they did a study some time ago that most fighters' careers never exceed 9 years with any success.
9 years with
9
any
years.
success.
Once you hit 9 years, everything goes downhill.
Okay.
And it had like a case study of names. The number one that I remember was Uriah Faber. They went through his start, his rise, and his fall. And it was 9 years, and he started taking the dip.
That's
almost like exactly.
That's interesting. So there's a study that said that after that 9-year point,
they were saying like basically about 9 years of the damage you can take before you start to break down.
That's such good.
I don't know if that holds up now with modern science and like training methods, but 10 years ago when this article came out.
Yeah, because now they're doing like, I guess to prolong an athlete's career, or a lot of fighters are just not, because we're talking about head injuries, are not sparring. Like they say they get to a certain level that they know how to fight, they know how to spar, and they stop sparring.
I know Max Holloway did it and looked better than ever.
Dude, that last
well, if you think about it, it was before he had those 2 or 3 losses in a row with Volkanovski. I think it was around when he won the title. Yeah. And she's like, yeah, I'm not sparring. I hit a lot of pads. I'll do some tech work. And like, if you were doing this shit every day, as long as you have your pad holders like fight simulating, throw the shots at you, making you move, making you focus on, you should be good. Yeah. You should be good. And if you're like, dude, I don't know, I got to put hands on somebody. Yeah. Then you have one. It's okay. Yeah. But so many camps are like, we spar hard 3 times a week. It's like, you are going to be done with your career in 2 years.
That's like why striking is terrifying to me not terrifying. Like, that's my precaution when it comes to strike or training something that has to do with striking. Because maybe I'm a dad. I'm not going to be fucking, but maybe there's a motherfucker 22-year-old that just wants to ring your fucking bell.
Oh, they exist. Yeah. They're there.
And that's scary. Like jiu-jitsu, we can do that until we're, you know what I mean? But when you're talking about striking, getting punched in the fucking head, you're gonna, dude, I don't think humans understand how sensitive the impact on our head is.
Or how easy it is to fuck something up. Yeah. Keep this in mind. Not even a concussion, but a good shot to the head, period. Just a good shot can shut down testosterone production in your endocrine system. Chael Sonnen talked about it, that it happened to him, which is why he was on a TRT replacement. Yeah. Which is also why they cut out TRT replacements. Either you've abused steroids and you fucked up your endocrine system, or you are physically in a position where your body no longer produces your hormones properly because of how you have damaged your body. Either way, you shouldn't be competing. Right. Either your brain's broken or you cheated and fucked it up.
I didn't know it was because, I didn't know that was the impact of like, that was one of the impacts of getting a head injury. Is that it fucks up your testosterone. It can
fuck not just your test, but your hormone system,
Oh, okay.
period.
Yeah.
Your entire endocrine system. Testosterone is just the one that most men focus on and measure.
Right.
But when you're seeing these fighters like getting TRT exemptions, oh my God, my test level's 125. Either you were jacking juice and you weren't using the proper stuff to keep your balls on, or you have had too many concussions and the gland that controls your endocrine system has taken too many shots, and it's like, we're done.
Fuck, that's wild, dude. That's a good argument for not. I mean, I don't think at least in MMA they shouldn't have steroids, in my opinion, because I think the damage you can do to somebody else, even though if it's a level play game, everybody's doing steroids.
But you could also argue if you're doing steroids, you will recover from the damage faster.
Okay.
You will be more resistant to the damage, and if injured, you will heal faster. So like. The way steroids were explained to me, I am not on steroids yet. I'll see you next Tuesday, Androgenics Palm Beach. But, fuck, where was I going with this?
We were talking about the counter argument to
the counter argument. So
the benefits.
Okay, so I remember high school, college, when I'm starting to learn about fitness, Arnold Schwarzenegger. What was that documentary movie? When I'm getting my pump, I feel like I'm coming. I'm just coming and coming.
There's one on Netflix?
It's from the 70s.
Okay, then I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Pumping Iron.
Okay.
It was what made him famous. It was after he was Mr. Olympia. It brought him into the movies.
Okay, so it's a huge
one.
I probably should know that shit.
Around it, I haven't watched the whole thing. I just remember it feels like I'm coming with my pump.
Dude, that's such a good Arnold.
Thanks.
Such a good Arnold.
If I remember correctly, he was talking about meeting girls, doing cocaine. Yeah, so I go to the gym and I get my pump and I'm like, oh my God, it feels like I'm coming. And then, after lunch, I go for my second workout and I'm just like, I'm so pumped. And then I have my evening workout and I'm just pumped. I'm coming all day. And I'm like, geez, okay, Arnie, what's up?
Are you watching the right documentary, dude? You didn't just
he's sitting on a couch like this in a tank top with his nipples out and he's like, it's just like I'm coming.
That's such a good idea. All right, so
but the way it was explained to me was, all right, you kill chest. You do not lift chest for 48 to 72 hours because that's how long it will take for your muscles to fix the tears that you've just created by benching.
Okay.
When you're taking steroids, it's like 6 to 12 hours.
Jesus, dude.
So you could arguably now granted, I am not a scientist. I have never done steroids. This was the explanation that was given to me.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's very rough.
Right.
But if you think about how big these bodybuilders get, it almost makes sense. Dude, you can lift whole body every day.
Yeah, bro.
And get recovery. Or every other. I mean, even that, you're eliminating one extra day where you can just hammer it out and just get jacked as fuck. Turn that to combat sports where you're getting boomed, banged around, slammed down, twisted up, cranked. And you go, oh man, D-ball increases tendon strength, tendon density, ligament strength, ligament density, recovers, helps cartilage rebuild, regrow, recover, reform, and my muscles will be stronger and more.
Yeah.
I was offered during my career, and just being the super honest guy, I was like, I felt like I had it in my hand, and I just couldn't do it. I feel like a fucking cheater.
Yeah.
Even just having it.
Right.
And this is before they fucking had you sign.
Yeah, when everybody was also doing it.
Apparently, I'm a Boy Scout bitch. But
a BB, bro.
Yeah. I remember having it just sitting in my dorm room, and I'm like, I looked at it for days, and then I was just like, nah, and I gave it back. But at the same time, because, GNC, I was taking Bulgarian Tribulus, Rip Fuel, Maca powder, and all this shit. I would have been healthier taking the actual steroid.
Yeah.
Actually, fuck. Do you remember Pro Hormones?
Pro Hormones?
So, okay. You know how they sell dick pills in gas stations?
Yeah.
They basically take Viagra, remove an inert molecule, so it is now no longer a copyrighted thing, and then they can sell it. And it's the same fucking thing. Pro Hormones were the same thing for steroids.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I remember going into a GNC and looking at the locked case, and I'm like, I'm looking to cut down. I'm a heavyweight. I should be a light heavyweight, middleweight, blah, blah, blah. And the guy's like, oh, try this one. It's called 17 alpha oxydrolone. And I was like, okay. So I was taking this
which is a pro hormone. Is that what you're saying?
oxandrolone is Anavar.
Really?
Yes. 17 alpha was an innate molecule that they removed from it so that they could then sell it at GNC for $60
No
a
fucking
bottle.
way, dude.
100%.
Shit.
So I was taking this pro hormone that I got at GNC, Tribulus, which is supposed to be a test booster, Maca, which is a test booster, and Rip Fuel, which was a fucking stimulant that was so strong they took it off the market. I remember I was an RA at my school, so like on weekend, like 2 weekends a semester, you're locked in. You're watching the building for the weekend, and I'm like, can you meet me and hold pads for me in the courtyard? Oh. And I'm just like seething everywhere. I tried to fight my entire fraternity at a frat meeting because one guy said he didn't like my favorite band.
Wait, which band was it?
Guar, the best band in the world.
Okay, I don't know about which choirs, but I'm going to agree with you.
There's some dudes from Virginia. They were film students and musicians. They had a band called Death Piggy, just a goofy punk band.
Yeah.
And the story that I understand is one of the guys was like, I want to make a movie called Scumdogs of the Universe, like a B-rate gore horror flick.
Okay.
They're like, you want to help me out? And they're like, yeah. And they do it. And they're like, can we wear these costumes on stage? And he's like, can I be in the band? And he goes, yeah. And that's fucking Guar. Intergalactic space barbarians playing metal, cutting heads up. It's very, like, I went to every show for like 10 years that came to Florida. They put George Bush on a torture wheel, peeled his head off,
Jesus.
Took his intestines out, and exploded them on the crowd. Like, the lead, okay, this is totally off topic. The lead singer, his penis is called the cuttlefish of Cthulhu. Right? It's a 3-foot-long catfish with fake testicles that hang down to his calves.
This sounds amazing, dude.
And their tour bus tows a 1,000-gallon tank. And they just refill it each venue. They dye it whatever colors they need.
$1,000 tank of
liquid.
Of liquid.
And they run hoses to the stage. So like when they cut a guy's head off, he sprays blood 50 feet into the crowd.
And it comes from that tank.
Yeah.
You said 1,000?
They got multiple. They got green take, white take, red take.
Dude, this
so
is
the lead
great.
singer would cut off George Bush's head and then like spray himself, then spray you, and they have a Gatling gun that shoots bile, and like the cuttlefish, like he'll like randomly hum something and like and then shoot on the best band in the world. Okay,
I mean, even if they didn't have like, let's say, good music, the entertainment factor that they had, it was just
more than
worth
half.
it.
I would say half the crowd was just like, "You ever hear of these motherfuckers? They're crazy." And like, this was amazing.
Yeah, it sounds like a great entertainment.
I remember I knew a girl. She was an exotic dancer from the same city as them. So I was like, yo, they're coming to town. She's like, I want to go. Those guys are from my town. She's like, I'm not getting wet. I'm going to hang out in the back. And she's an exotic dancer. She goes, hey, sound guy, can I hang out with you? I was like, yeah.
Of course.
So she's in the back. I'm in the pit. And the lead singer comes out and he just sees this smoke show in the back. And he's like, oh, she's wearing a white tank top. And just like does his bit. And he just points and he goes, you! And just fucking shoots her. Yeah, that was fucking hilarious.
Dude, that sounds like good times.
Look up Guar. They're great.
I'm definitely going to look them up now. We were talking about steroids and we went on a tangent.
Yeah, that happens. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Now I'm completely lost.
We were just talking about steroids in combat sports.
Yeah.
So I personally think they should not be present.
Okay.
The amount of damage you can do when you're just jacked up is exceptionally more than you can do if not.
Yeah, and I think even if it's like, if you're like talking about the aspect of recovery that comes with
that part
steroids.
Is why you should be able to, but you can't have the pros without the cons.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like it's that exponential recovery for your ability to get stronger, just athletically better, creates an exponential impact on what you can do to the other person. Yeah. It's like the recovery is great, which if there's a way you can isolate one without the other, right? Without but that's impossible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think specifically for combat sport, like if you're doing it for baseball, I don't give
a fuck how hard you hit a ball.
Yeah.
You want a volleyball? Get your ups, girl. Do your thing.
Yeah.
Don't care.
Yeah.
I'd say football, probably not. Still so much impact.
Right.
And fighting.
And you saw like that huge peak when it was like in the UFC when they had testing, but it was shitty testing.
Oh, and there was TRT tour?
Yeah. Exactly. That's the example I'm going to.
The Uberim? Yeah, dude.
And then they brought in was it USADA? They brought in USADA, and then all of a sudden there was this first of all, you can see it in their bodies. It was just a huge thing.
Immediately.
Immediately.
Deflated.
And they're getting fucking murked after that.
Dude, I think Vanderlei Silva might have been well, I'll tell you that. Vanderlei and then Overeem were the most drafted. But you knew it with Overeem.
Yeah.
Because Overeem started out as 6'5", skinny guy.
Yeah.
And then became
100%.
the Ubereem.
Yeah, like if you saw him when he was doing kickboxing, it was like, it's like a huge
difference. He fought Chuck Liddell at 205. He was like a stick figure.
Right.
With, he should have put the weight on. He did much better at heavyweight.
Yeah.
But he went from 205 to 3 bills. Just like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
And Vitor, like 38, spin kicking the death out of dudes after going on a losing run.
Dude, he fucked up Michael Bisping's eye like permanently.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was a kick or something. It was a...
Yeah, I think his toenail like hit him or his heel hit him.
Fuck.
Whatever.
Cut your nails, people.
Yeah, seriously, it's fucking gross. And wash your gi and your belt. At least disinfect it. Spray it with some Lysol or something. But,
dude, I kind of want to talk about, we've talked for a while, but I want to talk about the transition from fighter to coach.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said it a couple of times that it was like you were trained so you can get your brand big enough so that you could have a name in order to open up a gym. Was that was that like what you thought when you started fighting?
No. It was after I started. So I fought a guy named Joe Kennedy.
Okay.
He was a good wrestler. I found out after the fact he hadn't been taken down in like 10 years through high school and college and stuff. He took me down a bunch of times. I was more than happy. I played guard, no problem.
Yeah.
He was just picking me up and power bombing me. And I was like, the guard ain't gonna work. He must have picked me up and power bombed me 8 times.
Fuck.
What?
How long was the fight?
4 minutes.
It was a 4-minute fight and you got power bombed 8 times?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Like he was doing sag down, head and arms. I'd get my guard.
Okay, it wasn't like legit.
No, like he'd be in my guard. I'd start climbing high guard, looking for the arm. He would grab my head, pick me up, and slam me into the ground. Fuck. Like from standing.
Jesus.
He did it a bunch of times. So, and I'm RoboCop. He'd back up. I don't want to grapple with you.
Right.
I just get up. Dun, 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 dun. And eventually I hit him. I saute him. I hit a foot sweep. Boom. Nice. I get on top. He turns. I float over. I put hooks in. And I make a calculated effort. I go, I've armbarred him a bunch of times. And he just picks me up and throws me. I got to go triangle. So I'm on the back. I cut my leg across. I put my foot over here. Yeah. I do a front roll, somersault, like a twist.
Yeah.
And I go from his back to a triangle.
Okay.
And then I roll through and I go belly down on the armbar with the triangle.
Yeah.
He taps. It's over. Cool. I'm leaving the ring. No, I look like Sloth from the Goonies. I will give you pictures for all this stuff. Just remind me later.
Yeah.
I got a fucking like, whatever. And I get out of the cage, and Rafael Diaz, who's a guy who came up from Brazilian top team to fight and stuff. He was the original owner of ATT Fort Lauderdale. He stopped. I'm not even out of the cage area to walk to the back. And he goes, "Who taught you that?" And I go, "No one. I knew if I armbarred him, he'd powerbomb me. So I went for the triangle." And he goes, "I'm watching you." Like I'm in trouble.
Yeah, like threatening you?
Like, who taught you that? You didn't learn that in this room. Like, I just figured it out. Like,
yeah.
I'm a smart kid.
Yeah, I troubleshooted.
Yeah, but he was like angry almost.
Yeah.
And then the next week, and he's like, "Do you want to coach for me?" I'm like, "Sure." Because his gym was where I worked. I worked at downtown Fort Lauderdale where the bars and stuff are.
Yeah.
His gym was like 2 blocks. So I was like, "Oh, it's perfect. I can go teach my class, take a shower, go to work. Yeah. If I set up early, I can come back and do evening training. Awesome."
Right.
My class was meant for bouncers. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, right by downtown. Come in.
The class
I taught.
Oh, you taught.
He's like, "Get your bouncer buddies, bring them in here."
Oh, sweet.
What ended up happening was I had 2 or 3 bouncers, and then waiters, servers, bartenders.
Right.
But then some people were like, "Hey, I'm in college. I can go to an afternoon class," and my class got fucking packed.
Oh shit!
It got packed enough that I was like, "How do I get paid for the kids that aren't my students?
Yeah.
That are your students?" Then we made a deal.
Yeah.
And then it got big enough, and he's like, "No."
No deal.
Yeah, that deal I thought was going to be like,
I'm not losing a lot.
So not a big deal.
Yeah.
But that set me up like, "Oh, I'm good at this."
Yeah. I've seen some of your videos. The way you teach is very detailed, and it's detailed to the point that it makes like the way that you break it down, it makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some people will teach you a technique and it's like you do this, this, and this, but you have a reasoning behind it,
Yeah.
which is great.
I like to go through like, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. This is why we're doing it.
Yeah.
This is what to
exactly.
expect when we're doing it. These are the likely reactions we will get when executing it. And then hopefully this is how we will adjust.
Did you always have that kind of like way of approaching learning and teaching, I guess, right?
Yes and no. I'm definitely better at it now.
Yeah.
15 more years in.
The years that you accumulated.
But it's just because that's how I learned. My first coach was like an athlete. Man, shoot the triangle. Okay, where do I push off? Where do I get lift for my hips? And you go, man, you just shoot the thing.
Just do it.
Right. And then I met Dustin Dennis, a.k.a. Clean. And he was the first guy that was like, Stark, heel drive, 45 degrees. This allows hips to shift. Shift hips, climb feet climb. And I'm like, this works for me.
Yeah.
And so in my head, I just go, well, that's what works for me. So I assume maybe I'm giving you too much information. You can get it in 3 steps, but that guy needs 5, and that guy needs 7.
But even
so
then, it's good that everybody knows that everybody knows those kind of steps. Like, and then because there's a point that when you obviously you learn what they taught you, but then you have to evolve and learn new shit.
Yeah.
How does that work? How does that process work from learning and teaching it?
I mean, at that time, very easy because I would have Laborio, Marcelo, Conan, whatever in the morning, and then I'd go and teach my class in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And half the time, I would just take what I learned and dumb it down to the level of what I was teaching.
Right.
Whether that was dumbing it down to my level or their level, that's up for discussion.
Whatever the debate is.
But I translated it well, and people reacted to it. And then,
like now, how do you do it then?
Now the same way, but a little more in depth.
Okay.
Like my mom was an ESC and ESOL teacher.
Oh, okay.
So she was like, different people communicate different ways. I have some kids that are nonverbal. I have other kids that write. So like, there's different ways to do it. So I try to teach verbally, I try to demonstrate visually, and then I try to sit with you and have you do it tactily. Because I need to see it and do it.
Right.
You can tell me it, but I'm going to lose some details.
Yeah. Like
if
like
I watch you do it, I'm like, okay. But if I watch you and do it I got it in 2. Easy work. So I'm like, okay, I just try to do that for everyone.
Yeah.
I have my uke, and they're great because they know exactly what I want. They know when I start talking, stop moving.
Yeah.
I don't have to, hey, wait a second, kind of thing. But that goes around. I'll grab other people. Hey, for your body type, this is going to be done different. For your body type, it's going to be done different. For your body type, it's going to be done different.
Yeah.
This is a small guy and a big guy and a small guy, 2 medium guys, small and like, because if there's a nuance, I try to cover it.
Incorporate it.
And then just I came up on reps. I used to meet clean Tuesdays and Thursdays. We would do 100 arm bars each side, 100 triangles each side, 100 omoplatas each side. That was necessity.
Yeah.
If we finish before 2 hours, he goes, what do you want to work on? Pick one thing. And we would do up to 100 of those or until we ran out of 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it was just reps and reps and reps.
How important do you think reps are? Because there's a whole argument in jiu-jitsu world now with the
Ecological.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of Ecological.
Yeah. And I'm asking everybody that's a coach about this.
So I don't know if you're a foot on the couch person.
No, that's fine. Okay. It's all good.
Cool. So I like Ecological. I find as a business owner, my people have more fun doing Ecological.
100%. Yeah, that makes sense.
I find hardship as a classic coach doing solely Ecological, right? I don't relate this to arm bars and triangles. Those are generally simple movements.
Okay.
I relate this to, like, my favorite sweep. Spider guard, leg lasso, failed leg lasso, far side de la hiva, hand switch, collar switch, hip shift, overhead roll, finish.
Right.
How am I going to teach that ecologically?
Right.
That would take 2 days worth of games. All right, guys, we have to acquire spider. From spider, we need to acquire leg lasso. Now, partner 1, you need to acquire leg lasso. Partner 2, your job is to shut down leg lasso by any means necessary.
Okay.
Hand fight, pummel, keep your elbows in tight. We'd like you to focus on elbow tightness. Now, next game. Top player, your job is to deny the elbow hook or the lasso hook. Bottom player, you need to see how you're going to find the far side de la riva or the far side
Right.
X or
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
awkward hooking terminology that I don't know that is cool right now.
Yeah.
Right?
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
But it's cool now because sometimes they change the name over time.
Yeah. Leg entanglement. Ashigarami.
Yeah.
Kami basami. Sagama. Dude? Dude.
I don't have the capacity.
Yeah. Who am I talking? I'm a Danaher guy. This is an Ashigarami.
Yeah.
I'm a 10th planet. We call this the penis bar. Like,
right. See what you're saying.
yeah. So, like, it's going to take all this time to teach this simple thing. Well, not simple, but you have to learn how to get spider, learn how to acquire lasso, learn how to recognize and address an opportunity for, or I can teach it to you.
Yeah.
I can give you 5 or 10 minutes to work it. And then we can go, all right, man, how are we going to apply it?
Yeah.
So I understand that's not the full ecological method. Now, if I want to teach something simple, you know, a Kimura from guard. Game 1, split the hands. Partner 1, split the hands. Partner 2, keep that guy down.
Yeah.
Okay, hands are on the floor. Your job is to re-find your base, center line, put them down. Bottom player, maintain control, keep them wide, look for your over. Look for your overhook, overhook, overhook.
Yeah.
Next game, okay, we are in the overhook. Top player, you got to shut this down. You want to get your hands free. You want to get your head back inside. You want to square them back up. Bottom player, finish the Kimura sweep, or look for hand lock. Because basically, do a step, break it down. Do a step, break it down. Do a step, break it down. Like that, I can conceptually see.
Yeah.
It's just the super technical is where I'm like, you just got to teach that.
Yeah.
You can then turn it into games later.
Right.
But if people don't understand,
yeah,
then they're gonna go, "What the fuck?" You know?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like you, like most people that I know, are like to have like that balance. They say that ecological is very important, but there's something that they like to drill and they like to show. But that's usually the consensus I'm getting. Like I train at one place that's completely ecological, and they're all ecological, which for me it's helped me a lot in the way that I think when it comes to training. Like when it comes to like rolling with somebody, like I'm not really focusing on the technique. Like let's say you're doing a knee side pass, it's just like let me get past the knees however I can.
Yeah.
And then I train at another place that I do at the Daniel Perez, which he does a balanced approach, like both. And the people that do the balanced approach seem to have the same argument that you're presenting. Like, ecological is great; you need it in order to like understand jiu-jitsu in its normal, like in its full state, or anything. Maybe you do it for MMA as well. You know what I mean?
Certain things,
yeah, certain things, right? But then there's an aspect when it's like when it gets too technical is when they have to really dig into it.
I have an old student of mine who is now a professor. I was teaching in Germany at MMA Spirit, and one of my students was this guy, Francesco Fronte. He worked for Nintendo. He's a video game programmer, really smart guy, brown belt at the time, from Italy. And
a German guy from Italy?
No, he's from Italy, living in Germany, working for Nintendo.
Got it.
He opened his own gym sometime after I left, and he's like a top 5 ecological guy in Europe. Like he's being brought out to all these eco seminars. You know,
really?
he was with
What's
Greg Son, Francesco Fronte.
Fronte.
DM me, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Great dude. He's huge on ecological, and I've tried to have a few conversations with him, time differences and parenthood and shit. Like we haven't really gotten to like sit down and get into it. But I'm like, that was just like I like all of it. I use it a ton. I don't know how you're teaching advanced technique with it. It would seem way too labor intensive. It would seem way too drawn out when you can just go directly to teaching it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I look at I call it pattern recognition when we're rolling. I know when you do this, you've got 6 options.
Okay.
And I can eliminate 3 of them by what the rest of your body's doing. And I can eliminate 2 more of them by what this part of your body's doing. So I can recognize a pattern to then most likely accurately predict where you're going.
Yeah.
It seems like the ecological concept is kind of that. When I'm in this weird position, I am still surprisingly capable of doing this thing or that thing. I recognize you were in that position. That pattern dictates that you can do this thing or that thing.
Okay.
Which is, I guess, the simplified version of how I look at it. Ecological training to me is in the moment problem solving. You are given a select problem, do your best to solve it, in these parameters that have been prescribed to you.
Yeah.
And as we remove parameters, you have all the more freedom. And next thing you know, it's a free roll. And that's how we see how you're going to apply the methodologies that you learned.
Yeah.
You know, from the ecological training style.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the same results out of everyone. I think you're going to get much less uniform results.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because like, you know, what if we're not the same athleticism?
Right.
What if, I don't know, what if I'm really tall?
Yeah.
We're just doing different things. That being said, I found a huge uptick in comfort performing in competition.
Oh, they're more comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're more comfortable performing in competition, less fear of the unknown, and much more creativity when I use the ecological method more often. But I find a slow in the expanse of their arsenal. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Like they
have a lot less shit to pick from, but they got a lot more ways to do the things they're good at.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like the way that they get to point A and point B, they have more ways of getting it, but they don't have more options of B.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like drilling, I can teach you an alphabet of attacks, but if I'm not really teaching you, I'm like, hey, you got to figure these out. You're not going to have the alphabet of attacks. You're going to have half the alphabet of attacks because you just haven't figured out the rest. Right. And to be frank, if you left me on my own, the likelihood of me figuring out spider guard, leg lasso, arm hook, leg hook, is very unlikely.
Right.
Underhook, overhook, head position, hand fighting, body locking.
Yeah.
I will also, this just dawned on me, I don't see that much ecological in the gi. I mostly see it in no gi.
I don't think I've ever heard of somebody applying that ecological in the gi. It's all been no gi guys.
I've done ecological games in the gi for grip fighting, which is really just break the grip, get the grip. Break the grip, get the grip.
Right.
Here's 5 ways how to break the grip. Oh no, I just taught you how to break the grip.
Yeah.
Did I just violate or did I give you parameters? You know, there's some people that are like, oh, you told them what they can and can't do, which means you demonstrated how they could do it. You taught them, no longer ecological. Like, check this out. I like jujitsu.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. You know? Like,
yeah.
Why are we being so weird about it?
I'm asking because, like, the reason I'm asking...
I want a deeper understanding of
exactly.
it. I want to see how Saunders and Francesco and all are fucking doing it.
Yeah.
Because they're definitely doing it.
Yeah.
Their guys are doing good.
Yeah.
I don't think we have like an ADCC champ or a CJI champ yet, but they're I think the next go around they're going to be in the brackets.
Right.
You know, in the next year or two.
Yeah, for sure.
Like on the world I know they're doing well nationally, regionally. I've seen it. I don't know how they are on the world stage.
I think that we're going to see some definitely some medals coming in for that type of approach. And I'm asking all the coaches, like in the last interview I had last week, I asked the same question because I want to get an understanding of people that are coaching. And I have like my own coaches, I've had them in, I spoke with them about this. I have to have them back on because my fucking thing failed. But I kind of want to get an understanding in that I get the ecological approach in terms of me participating in it as a student. I felt the benefits of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then and it may be just because my mind has been classically trained for the years that I've been doing grappling, in that like judo, you have so many repetitions. Like, and I feel like that repetitions, especially when it comes to feet placements of applying a throw, is so important. You know what I mean? To get those seonagi triangle, you have to jump in with the feet.
Yeah. Like
just doing the repetition of that throw is getting the feet placement the way that it needs. And then if you apply that to like using the ecological approach, you have already the movement that you need in order to get that throw in. But that's also, maybe I haven't done my research well enough and I don't understand.
I don't know, like, why does it have to be one or the other?
I don't know. I'm not saying it has to be one or the other.
I'm just saying, like, but then this argument, it's one or the other. Like,
right.
Why?
Yeah.
Like, they both obviously have good things.
Yeah.
And I know the ecological shit I've heard was like, you're just teaching your people what your coach taught you. You didn't improvise, you didn't improve. And I'm like, I've definitely improvised and in my opinion improved. If not for the sport, for my body.
Yeah.
For my style. You know? And it just sounds like when they make that argument, like the ecological guys are like, you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
And you're going, well, you're just teaching old school shit. And like, or here's the other question. can you not teach it?
What do you mean, can you not teach it?
Do you not know the move well enough to break it down and instruct it?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Maybe that some people are hiding behind it.
Possibly. There's definitely like
I could see that.
I will say in my years, I've had days where I'm like, it was a bad day. I was distracted. My kid's sick. I'm sick. My wife's mad. I don't know, whatever.
Right.
But I'm not here.
Yeah.
And those are pretty easy days to make ecological.
There's definitely got to be some people that are kind of hiding behind it, for sure.
There has to be.
Yeah, but there's also people that can apply it and know what they're doing.
It's one of the reasons like I don't claim it. I like it.
Yeah.
I would say this is themed, this is inspired by.
Yeah.
But I don't have a complete understanding of the ecological methodology to where I'd be able to say, this is the ecological. It's what I think it is.
Yeah.
It's my understanding of it. It's similar.
Right.
Which is why I really want to get on the phone with Francesco and be like, break this shit down.
Dude, when you do, let me know because I would love to see what he says.
I mean, if you want to talk to him, I don't know. Obviously, it's like an 8-hour difference.
Yeah.
But if you do a Zoom one,
that'd
I'll
be great.
holler at him.
That'd be great. I would love to have a conversation with somebody that's like really into the research. I have my coaches are really into it, and I'm going to bring them in and talk to them about it. But I also want somebody on the other side that's not just somebody that's applying it, but kind of understands the science before of the classical way of training. Yeah. And sit them down and have a conversation with them to kind of figure out what the fuck is going on. I think we're already up in an hour, man.
It's very possible.
I think we're up in an hour.
120.
All right. So, man, anything you want to promote? Anything we didn't cover that you want to cover?
Okay.
Floor is yours, man.
Okay. So, stuff I wanted to cover but didn't. Don't matter. I'm here to chat, man. Did you want a story? Because I know when we did Jiu-Jitsu Gummies, you're like, you got to tell me some crazy shit.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think we did it. I think
we did a few crazy things.
I had a great conversation. We went off Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah. This is exactly the type of conversations I like to have. Like, cool. When it gets to like too interviewee, it's not as fun. You know what I mean? All right. So this is great.
Then let's hawk some shit. All right. I said it earlier. HammerJujitsuShop.com. Get yourself some of these dope t-shirts. Every shirt almost that I've made for the last 9 years is up there. I have like famous production guys, designers, Metastasis Humanis. They do stuff for WWF, AEW. Cool. They've done decades worth of death metal covers, albums, crazy shit. Check it out, HammerJujitsuShop.com. I have a new product. I've started a gauze and tape line. I am a cutman. I'm a world-class cutman. I'm number 140 in the International Cutman Association. I'm a top-tier international cutman. Shit,
I didn't know. I knew you were a cutman, but I didn't know there was ranking in
there. Big time, dog. Shit. But I've just come out with my own gauze and tape line. Okay. So far, the gauze is in. The tape is still being shipped. It's called Fight Tape. My gauze is called Fight Wrap. Yeah. Those will be online at Hammer Jiu-Jitsu Shop soon. The thing I'm bringing to the table, I'm taking high-quality cutman gear that is typically really expensive. Yeah. And I'm getting rid of the bells and whistles. You don't need a fancy lacquered box. We don't need 50 stickers. Oh. And I'm going to produce high quality stuff and keep it at the price of the mid quality stuff. Yeah. And just get rid of the flair. Yeah. So yes, if you order 20 rolls of gauze from me, they're probably going to be in a Ziploc with a sticker, but you didn't have to pay for me to order all those boxes and design the box. Right. I'm saving you cash by sending you exactly what you want. That's great. So look up Fight Tape US on Instagram. Fight Tape US. No dots, no dashes, straight through. We just got started. We got like 6 posts. But everything will be through there. If you want to buy, and I strongly suggest you do, HammerJujitsuShop.com. Check that out. And of course, if you are in North Palm Beach or traveling North Palm Beach, you want to train, come by American Top Team Palm Beach Gardens. Send me a DM. Hit me up. We love visitors.
Give me all those things and I'll put them in the description.
All right,
cool. You can have it there.
I'll do it.
That was great, man. That was a great conversation.
Sir, thanks, thank you very much.